Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my little presentation here on communication apprehension, otherwise known as stage fright. Everybody experiences this in your life. You might have had to do a presentation in class or present something like this video, in fact. You might be feeling a little apprehensive to communicate. Some of the things that might go on are you get on stage and you do this. You just freeze up and all these thoughts come in your head like, oh, wow, why are they looking at me? Am I sweating? Oh, God, I'm sweating. What am I supposed to say? Help me. I'm going to give you some of the strategies that I've learned through my comm classes here at SVSU, and maybe they'll help you out in the future. So the first thing we're going to look at is the communication apprehension, the comm theory, and why it causes anxiety and stress in the act of communicating. It can include small groups, even on the phone. Some people don't like to make phone calls. I'd rather order my pizza online. One-on-one, so if you're on a date, sometimes you're a little nervous to talk on, to interact. Like this guy down here, he's sweating, talking to the nice-looking lady there, nice-looking clip art. So you can have many different interactions that cause that anxiety. And communication apprehension is an over-encompassing theme of any form of communication that gives you that feeling of apprehension. Some people can be extreme enough where even just text messaging and stuff causes that stress. So any communication that causes that apprehension can fall under this theory. We're going to look at more of the broader things like strategies for performance and strategies for some one-on-one interactions. Here's a list of the top 10 phobias, and you'll see right at the top there is public speaking or stage fright. 19% of people in the American National Institute of Mental Health claim to have that's their number one phobia, public speaking or stage fright. Death is number 2. So people are more afraid of public speaking than dying. If you look down at number 6, it's also people in social situations. So I think that would fall under the same category, small group or just one-on-one interactions with people causes stress, that much apprehension, even more so than flying on an airplane, open spaces, thunder and lightning, those interactions every day. Here's some tools you can use as a teacher. So as a teacher, you're going to have students in the class that seem to just enjoy screaming out everything, right? And you're going to have to almost tame those kids down sometimes. But then you're going to have those kids that are a little quieter. And that's okay, but you still want to get them involved. You still want to get them interacting in your classroom and engaged. So some of the strategies you can use are interactive games, strategies, practice, and engagement. All of these tools that you can bring into your classroom can help impact the students' levels of communication apprehension. One of the stories I have is when I was camp counselor. We had a little girl who was the quietest, sweetest little girl, but she was at a theater camp, and we couldn't for the life of us understand how to get her to open up. We knew her parents kind of sent her to this camp because of that, because she was a little quieter. By the next year, she came to that camp and was probably one of the funniest, most outgoing kids at our camp. And her mom and dad said a lot of it had to do with some of the things we did in that camp. By getting her involved, not letting her say no to activities, and really putting her on stage and having her have that positive experience. It's all about positive experience. If they can associate interactions and performances with positive experiences instead of the negative connotations that you kind of go through in your head before a performance, then you can really impact how the student does. One of the things I use in my classes and have used for years, even when I taught these kids camps, was a little warm-up called sound and motion. Sound and motion is very simple. Everyone stands in a little circle, and you can do it 2 ways. The first I like to do is everyone just makes a big sound and a big motion, whatever you want. So I make a big wave of my hands and I say something like, "Ooh." That's it. That's all you have to do. But the next person has to do it quickly, and then everyone around the room does it. And the reason you kind of do these kind of warm-ups is if everybody's doing it, first of all, it's goofy, it's silly, you feel awkward, but you get the opportunity to do something goofy in front of everybody, get some of those nerves out, and show that you as the teacher are also willing to perform, to be in front, to take risks, to put yourself out there and be silly and goofy. It's a really fun thing, especially with young kids. I find that young kids are more than willing most of the time to do this, and the older kids, the high school kids, groan and moan about it. But I think it's applicable even to adults. If you're willing to do this, the simple task, you can evaluate and see who's ready for the next. So I use this as a good evaluation tool. So if you have those few kids that are kind of like, and they're a little quieter, and you don't want to pull them out, and you don't want to set them aside and make them feel, but you notice them, and you know which kid you're going to need to work with a little more, and it's a great quick evaluation tool. You can also do this where you have one person start, and they do a sound of motion, and everyone has to copy them, and then it goes around again and again. That's another version of it. It makes it a little more less of the choice in there for them, so maybe that's something that helps them. But I like to kind of just leave it open and see what everybody does for themselves. So again, why do we do that? Quick evaluation tool for teachers, sets the tone for the class. So if you're doing, I usually use this in theater courses, obviously, so it sets the tone for upcoming tasks and expectations. You're modeling, you're showing your willingness to do it, and promotes ensemble and camaraderie because everybody's doing it. Everybody's got to do it. Everybody's involved. No one gets to opt out of this. This is a little study I was reading about, survey of college students' anxiety levels in public speaking. So this was in 1998 in a college communications course where everyone had to do a speech. And the report was that 40% of the class had high anxiety, or moderately high anxiety for 30%. 20 was moderate high. So you can see those who had the low end of it, those that were lower, were the least amount in the class. Almost everyone in the class had some level of anxiety from moderate to high, the majority of the students. And one thing they found through these college, these surveys and these different studies of freshmen who do not come back the next year, a lot of times that has to do with the courses in the public speaking and that social aspect of school. Some of the not feeling a part of the school is another one. So by tackling this early, if we could figure out a way in college students and even in high school and middle school to tackle this issue, we might have a better college retention and a better retention. So here we have a couple techniques that we're going to use to help get our mind ready for the act of communication. So for the act of performance or the act of even just a one-on-one conversation. And one of these is systematic desensitization. So this is relaxed breathing, basically meditation over a communication event. So this is an idea where you start to think about a communication event, you take deep breaths in and out. You try to keep yourself very relaxed and you imagine this in your mind. And so you eventually start to associate the act of communication with a relaxed event, something that you feel relaxed to. It's kind of like a Pavlov response to communication events. On the same hand, you have covert positive response conditioning. This is imagining a high anxiety CA event. This is where you maybe have experienced it in the past, and then you associate positive aspects to it. So maybe you get a standing ovation at the end of a performance or speech. Maybe they all come up to you and say how wonderful you did. Maybe you get a raise after you talk to a boss. Maybe you get that date with that girl you really like. Whatever it is, you associate positive outcomes, and this really helps train your mind to think of communication events as a more positive thing. This really helps students, and it can really help you personally as well. The final thing I want to talk about is the fear factor. Now, fear factor is a little quick game we play. It's not the one where you have to eat cow intestine or anything like that. This is 10 fears that you list, and you rank them from 1 to 10. So you have each of your students do this. And then they line up where they fall on the scale, where public speaking falls in their scale from 1 to 10. If it's number 1, they're the first people in lines. If it's number 2, they're number 2, and so on. So you line them up around the room. And what this does, it helps them get that sense of community where everybody pretty much everybody has this kind of fear, and they can see, oh, you're number 2 and I'm number 1 and 3 and so on. Well, this is a big fear for everybody. So that sense that everybody experiences this communication apprehension, everybody has this, can really help students feel like they're part of a team. They're not in this alone, and we're approaching these lessons and this change together. Thank you.